Welcome to my new YouTube series as we talk about animals in Genesis. We're gonna start with a new series. We're gonna start with a brand new episode called Dinosaurs and Dinosaurs and the Bible. We need to cover But we need to look at the evidence to prove that we don't prove we need evidence, we need enough evidence. So an area of mystery surrounds the dinosaurs. Where did they come from? Did they evolve? Did they really live millions of years ago? What happened to them? Are there any living today? Has ever any human being ever seen alive dinosaurs? Dinosaurs are alive. I'm firstly fascinated about these mysterious monsters. Numerous books and movies have been produced to satisfy a seemingly impenetrable hunger for information on their puzzling creatures. The truth of the matter, however, is that no real mysteries at all when you have key information that is not genuinely known and is withheld from the public. Come with me as we take a walk through history and uncover some amazing facts that will answer many of our questions about these terrible lizards. Did dinosaurs really exist? Dinosaurs certainly did roam the earth in the ancient past. Fossil dinosaurs have been found all over the world, and their bones have been displayed in museums aboard the sea. Scientists have been able to reconstruct many of their skeletons, so we know much and how many they have looked. When were dinosaurs found? The story that the discoveries began back in the 1820s, where Gibson Mantle, an English doctor, found some unusual teeth and bones in the quarry. Dr. Mantle realised there was something very different about these animal remains, and believed that he had found an active nucleus of reptiles. By 1841, about 9 types of these different reptiles have been uncovered, including Megasaurus and Almond. At the time, a famous British artist, Dr. Richard Owen, coined the name Dinosaur, meaning terrible lizard. But what is the high bones made to think of? What makes dinosaurs different? Other than the higher size of some dinosaurs, the major feature that really distinguishes dinosaurs from other reptiles such as crocodiles is the position of our limbs. Dinosaurs have posture that were very erect, similar to that in mammals. Most of the other reptiles had limbs in the swollen position. For instance, compare the way a crocodile walks with that of, say, a cow. Dinosaurs would have moved like a cow, with the limbs supporting the body from beneath. Crocodiles waddle as their limbs project sideways from the body. How big were dinosaurs? Some were as small as chickens, and others were even smaller. Of course, some dinosaurs were very large, weighing an estimated 80 tons and standing 40 feet high. The average size of dinosaur, however, was probably about of that a large sheep or bison. Where did dinosaurs live? The story we have heard from movies, television, newspapers, and magazines, and textbooks that dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. According to fossil lists, dinosaurs ruled the Earth for 140 million years. Dino about 65 million years ago. However, scientists did not dig up anything labelled with those ages. They only uncover dead animals, their bones, and their bones do not have labels attached, telling how old they are. The idea of million years forward is just the evolution story about the past. No scientist was there to see dinosaurs live through this supposed dinosaur age. In fact, there is no proof whatever that the world and fossil layers are millions years old. No scientists observed dinosaurs die. Scientists can only find the bones in the here and now, and because many of them are formulations, they try to fit the story. Of dinosaurs into their view. Other scientists, called creation scientists, have a different idea about when dinosaurs lived. They believe they can solve any of supposed dinosaur mysteries and show how the evidence fits woefully with their ideas about the past beliefs that came from the Bible. The Bible, God's very special book or collection of books, really claims that each writer was successfully inspired to write exactly what the Creator of all things wanted him to write down for us, that we can know where we, the dinosaurs, came from, why we were here, and what fruit will be. The first book in the Bible, Genesis, teaches us many things about how the universe and life came into existence. Genesis tells us that God created anything. The earth, stars, sun, moon, plants, animals, and the first two people. Although the Bible did not tell us exactly how long ago, it was that God. God made the world and its creatures. We can make a good estimate on the date of creation by reading through the Bible and noting some interesting passages. Number 1. God should make anything in 6 days. He did this, by the way, to set a pattern for mankind, which has become a 7-day week, as described in Exodus 20:11. God worked for 6 days and rested for 1, as a model for us. Furthermore, Bible scholars will tell you that the Hebrew word for day used in Genesis 1 can only mean an ordinary day in this context. We are told God created the first man and woman, Adam and Eve, on day 6. Many facts about when their children and children are born are given in Genesis. These genealogies are recorded throughout the Old Testament, up until the time of Christ. They certainly were not chronicles lasting millions of years. As you add up all the dates and accepting that Jesus Christ, Son of God, came to the earth almost 2,000 years ago, we come to the conclusion that the creation of the earth and animals, including dinosaurs, occurred only thousands of years ago, perhaps only 6,000, not millions of years. Thus, if the Bible is right, and it is, those must have lived within the past thousands of years. Where did dinosaurs come from? Evolutionists claim that dinosaurs evolved every millions of years. They imagine that one kind of animal slowly changed there over long periods of time. For instance, they believe that amphibians changed into reptiles, including dinosaurs. For this gradual process, this means, of course, that there would have been millions of creatures during that time that would be in between, as amphibians evolved into reptiles. Evidence of these transitional forms, as they are called, should be abundant. However, many fossil experts admit that one unquestionable transitional form between many group and another has been found anywhere. The dinosaurs evolved from amphibians. There should be, for example, fossil elements of animals that are part dinosaur and part something else. However, there is no proof of this anywhere. In fact, if you go into any museum, you could see fossils of dinosaurs that are 100% dinosaur, not something in between. There are no 25%, 50%, 75%, or even 99% dinosaurs. They're all 100% dinosaur. The Bible tells us that God created all land animals on the sixth day of creation, as dinosaurs were land animals. They must have been made on this day, alongside Adam and Eve. He was also created on day 6. If God designed and created dinosaurs, they would have been fully functional, designed to do what they were created for, and would have been 100% dinosaur. This fits exactly with the evidence from the fossil record. Feminists declare that no man ever lived alongside dinosaurs. The Bible, however, makes it plain dinosaurs and people must have lived together. Actually, as we will soon see, there is a lot of evidence for this. What did dinosaurs eat? The Bible teaches us in Genesis 1, verse 29 and 30. The original animals and the first humans were commanded to be vegetarian. There were no meat eaters in the original creation. Furthermore, there was no death. It was an unblemished world with Adam and Eve and animals, including animals, living in perfect harmony, eating only plants. Sadly, it did not stay this way for very long. Adam rebelled against his creator, bringing sin into the world. Because of this rebellion, Adam and thus all his descendants you and me, gave up the right to live with a holy, sinless, and just God. God therefore judged sin with death. The Bible mainly teaches from Genesis to Revelation that there was no death of animals or humans before Adam sinned. Consider just a few of the many passages such as Romans 5:12, Genesis 2:17, Genesis 1:29-30, Romans 8:20-22, Acts 3:21, Hebrews 9:22, 1 Corinthians 15, Revelations 21:1-4, Revelation 22:3. This means there could not have been any animal and no animal bones before sin. After Adam sinned, animals and people started to die. It was now a different world, one of death and strife. A world that was once fruitful now suffered under the curse placed upon it by the Creator. But a promise was given that God would provide a way for the penalty of sin to be paid, so there would be a way for man to come back to God. Why do we find Dinosaur records? In Genesis 6 we read that all flesh, man and animals, had corrupted its way upon the earth. Perhaps people and animals were killing each other. Maybe dinosaurs had started killing other animals and humans. In any case, the Bible describes the world as wicked. Because of this wickedness, God warned a godly man named Noah. He was going to destroy the world with a flood. God therefore commanded him to build a great ship, the ark, so that all the kinds of land animals, which must have included dinosaurs and Noah's family, could survive on board, which the flood destroyed the entire earth. Some people think that dinosaurs were too big, or there would have been too many of them to go on this ark. However, there were not many different kinds of animals. There are certainly hundreds of dinosaur names, and many of these were given to just a bit of bone on skeletons of the same dinosaur world in other countries. It's also reasonable to assume that different sites, varieties, and sectors of the human kind of dinosaur have ended up with different names. For example, look at the loads of many different varieties and sizes of dogs. But they are all the same kind, a dog kind. In reality, they may have been fewer than 50 kinds of dinosaurs. God sent 2 of every human, 7 or so, land animal into the ark. There were no exceptions. However, dinosaurs must have been in the ark, even though there were ample room in a huge ship for large animals. Perhaps God sent young animals into the ark that still had plenty of room for them to grow. Well, what happened to the young animals that did not go to the ark? Very simply, they drowned. Many would have been covered with tons of mud, as the rampaging water covered the land. Because of this quick burial, many of the animals would have been preserved as fossils. If this happened, you would expect to find evidence of billions of dead things buried in rock layers formed from this mud all over the earth. This is exactly what you do find. By the way, the flood of Noah's Day probably occurred just over 4,500 years ago. Creation believed that this Earth formed many of the fossil layers around the Earth. Additional fossil layers were formed by our floods as the Earth settled down after the Great Flood. Therefore, the dinosaur fossils must have been formed as a result of this flood. Were probably formed about 4,500 years ago, not millions of years ago. Have dinosaurs lived in recent times? If the different kinds of dinosaurs survived the flood, then they must have come off the ark and lived in the post-flood world. In the Bible, in Job 15:24, God describes Job, who lived after the flood, as the sheep of the ways of God. Perhaps the biggest land animal God had created. Impressively, he moved his tail by his territory. Although some Bible comments say this may have been an elephant or hippopotamus. The description actually fits that of a dinosaur like Dinosaurus. Elephants certainly do not have tails like territories. Actually, very few animals are singled out in the Bible for such a detailed description. Contrary to some what may think, what we now know as dinosaurs get more mention in the scriptures than most animals. So dinosaurs, all the different kinds, must have lived alongside of people under the flood. Dinosaurs mentioned in literature. Interestingly, the word dragon is used a number of times in the Old Testament. In most instances, the word dinosaur could substitute for dragon and would fit really nicely. Crazy scientists believe dinosaurs were called dragons before the word dinosaur was invented in the 1800s. We would not expect to find the word dinosaur in Bibles like the Old First version, 1611. Then, as it was translated well before the word dinosaur was ever used. Also, there are many old history books, various libraries around the world that detail records of dragons and their encounters with people. Surprisingly, or not so surprisingly, for creationists. Many of the descriptions of dragons fit with how modern scientists would describe dinosaurs, even Tyrannosaurus. Fortunately, this evidence is not considered valid or falseness. Why? Only because their belief is that man and dinosaurs did not live at the same time. However, the more we research the history of literature, the more we realise there is overwhelming evidence that dragons were bigger beasts. Much like a modern reconstruction of dinosaurs, that their early existence has been recorded by many different people, even just hundreds of years ago. What happened? Evolutionists use their imagination in a big way to answer this question, because they believe dinosaurs ruled the world for millions of years, and then this appeared millions of years before men actually involved. They even had the time to come up with all sorts of guesses to explain mysterious disappearance. When reading and Fourier's literature, you may realize that the range of ideas concerning the post-extinction. The following is just some more suggested foods. Dinosaurs starved to death. They died from overeating. They were poisoned. They became blind from captivity and could not reproduce. Mammals ate their eggs. Other causes include volcanic dust, poisonous gases, common sunspots, meteorites, most suicide, Caution about parasites, sucking for brain. Shrinking brain relatively suggests changes in the concentration of air. It's obvious that forests don't know what happened, and like grassplants grows. In a recent evolution book on dinosaurs, a new look at the dinosaurs, the author made a statement. Now here comes the important question. What caused all these extinctions at one? Now comes important question. What caused all these extinctions at one particular point in time, approximately 65 millions of years ago? Those random reasons have been suggested, some serious and sensible, others quite crazy, and yet others may as a joke. Every year, people have come up with new theories on this forming problem. The trouble is that we have to find just one reason to account for them all. It would have to explain the death, all at the same time, of animals living on. And of animals living in the sea, but both in cases. And only some of those animals, many of the land dwellers, and many of the sea dwellers, went on living quite happily into the following period. Alas, no such one explanation exists. But one such explanation does exist. If you remove the evolutionary framework, get rid of the millions of years, and take the Bible seriously, you'll find explanations that fit the facts and make perfect sense. At the time of the flood, many sea creatures died, but some survived. In addition, all of the land creatures outside of the ark died, but the representatives of this kind that survived in the ark lived in the new world after the flood. Those land animals, including dinosaurs, formed the new world to be much different than the one before the flood, due to one competition for food that was no longer in abundance. Other catastrophes, men killing for food and perhaps for fun, and for the destruction of habitats. Many species of animals eventually died out. The group of animals we never called dinosaurs just happened to die out too. In fact, quite a number of animals become extinct each year. Extinction seems to be the rule in Earth history, not the formation of new types of animals as you expect from a formation. Will we ever see alive dinosaurs? The answer is probably not. But then again, there are some scientists who believe a few dinosaurs may have survived in remote jungles. We are still discovering new species of animals and plants in areas that would have been too difficult to explore until now. Even natives in some countries describe beasts that fit with what might be a dinosaur. The question is, of course, would not be surprised if some found a living dinosaur. However, a fondness would then have to explain why they made dogmatic statements that man and dinosaur never lived at the same time. I suspect they would say something into the effort. This dinosaur somehow survived because it trapped in a remote area that has not changed for millions of years. You see no matter which is found and how embarrassing it is. The ideas, they will always be able to consider the answer, because creation is a belief. It is not, creation is a belief. It is not science. It's not fact. What lessons can we learn from the dinosaur? When we see the bones of dinosaurs, we can be reminded that death was not part of the original creation. Death is actually an intruder, entering when the first man disobeyed God. The Bible tells us that because we are all descendants of Adam, we too then have sinned. Therefore, as by one man entered in the world, and death by sin, so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. We need to recognize that wickedness in the world is because of sin, because man rebelled against God. We can also be reminded that God, who made all things, including the dinosaurs, is also a judge of his creation. He helped judge Adam's rebellion by cursing the world with death, and was warned about what would happen if he disobeyed God's instruction not to eat the fruit of man's particular tree, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Thou not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof shalt surely die. And dinosaurs can also remind us that God judged the rebellion in Noah's day for destroying the wicked world with water, resulting in the death of millions of creatures. The Bible teaches us he will again judge the world, but next time by fire. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. In which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. We can also be reminded that after this destruction of fire, God will make a new heaven and earth. Nevertheless, we according to this promise, look for new heavens and new earth, wherein dwell righteousness. And what will be like in this new earth? And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, and neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things have passed away.